Hey everyone, you know who it is. It's Dominic from the Primetime Treasure eBay store and YouTube channel. I want to welcome in some of the new subscribers like AC and GHR Salvage. Thanks so much for coming on board. I really appreciate subscribing to the channel. As you can see here, I have the Captain America shirt on. I was all set to do the comic book toy and cards haul video from the last scene that I tantalized you with at the end of the prior haul video. However, I'm going to defer doing that until probably the next video after this one. And the reason for that is because of a sale that I just made that reminded me of a tip that I wanted to make sure that I passed along. And I've done a bunch of haul videos recently, so I figured it might not be a bad idea to actually break it up by doing one of these kind of tip videos that I like doing once in a while. And so what I'm going to talk to you about is actually just trying to help you increase your ability to find things at sales by looking in certain spots that you might otherwise pass up based on behavior that I observe people doing when I go to sales. So this particular item I'm going to talk to you about has to do with something I found at an estate sale, but what I'm describing could really happen anywhere. It could happen at a rummage sale, it could happen at a garage sale, but let me kind of explain the situation, and I've got some kind of props kind of laid out here with the actual item underneath that I'll show you that I was able to find. But I walked in downstairs at an estate sale, and when I went downstairs, there was a desk. It was an old desk, and there was all sorts of stuff that was all over it. There was stationery, there were books, there were papers, all sorts of things. And I was not the only person looking through this desk. There were plenty of other people looking at it. Generally, it kind of, well, one section of it kind of looked like this here. There were, pencils and stuff, and, there was, little books and papers and stuff just kind of scattered around. And so people would look at it and they'd pick something up like a book and they'd see it and they'd either take it or, they'd put it back down. And that was pretty it. In other words, a very superficial scanning of the items, AKA lazy scanning of the items, just superficial look. I see this happen a lot of times with boxes of items. So someone will see a box of items and they'll just kind of look through the top. They'll do a quick little move with their finger and they won't dig below to see what's underneath. Little hint, maybe a big hint, some of the best stuff is the stuff that's the hardest to get to, the stuff you have to work for. That's why one of the reasons I like doing reselling is that I like the treasure hunt part of it. I do metal detecting on the side too. That's another kind of hobby interest of mine, and in many ways this is kind of similar to it in that you're the search part of it, the hunt part of it. So I like that. So what people were missing in this particular situation is underneath all of these items, which I looked at as well, looked at them, checked them out, saw if there was anything interesting. There wasn't anything on the top that was valuable, but I kept just moving stuff off like this, moving stuff off like this. And what do I find underneath all of these papers and all of these books is this on the back, which is a calendar, correct? Now this is the back of the calendar, not the front. You actually have to turn around to see the front. And I would think that if people probably saw the front of it, they might have done something and picked it up and looked at it, because this is the front of the calendar, okay? So this is a famous model. As you can see here, it's Paulina Poroskova. Okay, hope I'm pronouncing that right, but she is a famous model because she is the first person from Central Europe to be featured on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. So she's famous for that. In addition to her looks, that also makes her pretty popular. None of these pictures in here are anything that's nude or anything that's X-rated. They're all kind of swimsuit, looking type of pictures. It's a calendar like that. So this is something that you would instantly know is going to sell. Now, you'd instantly know it for sure if you're a guy. If you're a woman who's watching this video, you might not be gravitating towards this type of item, and you might just kind of leave it aside because of the nature of what it is. But I would say still this is a type of item that you want to pick up to try to resell, because it's just going to mean money in your pocket. You are trying to find an item that has a niche audience, a target audience that is looking for items from this person. Now, this is considered a vintage item because it's from 1988. Now, people who grew up in the 80s might not feel that that's a vintage time frame, but at this point it is, especially for someone who does not look like this anymore. People want to go back in time and get the images of the person to see what they look like back in the day. And people love, especially guys, love to hang up these types of calendars in their man cave, in their garage, you know, and they could still turn it over every month. They don't care that the year is incorrect, doesn't matter. For example, you know, when May comes around, they'll just put this up. So this particular model does have a strong fan base that follows her. It's not massive. You've probably never even heard of her before. Maybe you did, but most likely you didn't. But she still does have a following to her. And as a result, items that have her on it that are vintage will sell. So if this calendar had no writing in it, it would have sold for somewhere between $50 and $60. Now, unfortunately, there are a few pages that do have some writing in it. Let me get it out of the glare there. That glare is annoying. Yeah, right there. So you can see that there are some pages that do have some writing on them. So that's something that I have to disclose when I sell it. And that does take the value down. However, this item I wound up getting for less than $1, and it just sold tonight for $24. So, and this is something that's just gonna have no problem just going out very light. It's not heavy in any way. So the moral of the story, again, is make sure you are looking underneath piles. Don't just do a superficial search, because I'm telling you, you are going to miss some of the most valuable stuff at the sale. It tends to be the stuff that's buried on the bottom that's harder to find. And there's a certain kind of pleasure of unearthing stuff like that and finding that type of stuff and then getting it up and getting it listed and getting it sold. As I said earlier, it's kind of like the treasure finding aspect of it. That's one of the things that I really like about it. Now, with regards to calendars, in terms of shipping out a big oversized calendar like this, I mean, this one is pretty big. It's the same type of philosophy that I use to ship out my books and comic books. Basically what you're going to do with this one, although you have to be a little bit more creative, because with my comic books, for example, I have pre-made sleeves, plastic sleeves that are made by a company called BCW, but there's other companies that make them as well, that you could easily just slot it in, and it covers the comic book depending on what size the comic book is. But this is pretty big. Now, they probably do sell calendar holders, but unless you are selling calendars as a regular item, you're not going to have those types of things on hand. So you just be creative. Now, this is where this comes in handy once again. This is the oversized poly bag. I have talked about this before. It saves you a ton of money as opposed to using boxes for items like this that are not fragile and are not going to break. I am going to put the link to it down below. In terms of the product, it's an Amazon linked product. I do make a little bit off of anytime someone uses one of those links, so just to disclose that, but it's not any massive amount or anything like that. These are not that expensive. You get a pack of 100 and they will last you a long time. So basically what I would do with this, just as an FYI, and as kind of another tip here, is I would take this calendar and I would simply slide it inside of here like this. Okay, and this is going to essentially act as my cover. Now what I'll do is I'll just overlap that part right there. Then I'll just take this right here and I will fold it over. And then later, what I'm going to do is just take a piece of tape and I will tape it up. I'm not going to do it right now just to save time. So that's just going to give it some surface protection right there. This is not what we're going to just then bring out to the mail and ship it. Now that might seem like to some of you, well, of course you're not going to do that. You wouldn't believe how many people do something like that. They'll take this, they'll just put a little tape on it and ship it out. And the customer is angry because they get an item that's damaged and broken because you did not adequately protect it. And blaming the post office on something like that is definitely not sufficient. In fact, the most recent feedback comment that I just received was a positive feedback from a book that I sent out. It was a soft cover book. I sent it out in a similar way I'm going to show you now, and the person said that the seller took extra time and extra care to package the item so that it didn't get damaged. Very much appreciated. So, and this doesn't take long to do what I'm going to show you. So you take this, put it in this little, this big poly bag wrapper, and I took some cardboard pieces, just cut them out like this. Now, in terms of where to get cardboard pieces that are this size, this is why I say you go to the grocery store or, you know, wherever kind of business that you're shopping in where you see broken down boxes and you pick them up. So for example, you know, like a bread and roll box like this, okay? You pick it up, you cut it up into different sizes depending on what it is that you need, and then you could easily get cardboard pieces like this. And so what's going to happen is just cut it to size. So this piece is going to fit right here. This piece is going to go right on top. So now I've got the calendar wedged right in between two pieces of cardboard, and you can see here this was an Amazon box that I reused, although I'll flip it over just to make it a little more presentable for the customer when they first get it. So it'll look like that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take some tape from my tape gun, and I'm just going to tape around the edges like this. So I'll put one here, I'll put one here, put one here, put one here, and I'll just tape around it like that. And then what I'll do after that, once it's all taped up, is I will then go grab one more of these poly bag mailers, and I will stick it inside of here. And just cut it to size, or actually I won't even have to cut much. I'll just lay it down like this, flatten it out, fold over the sides like this, and then I'll just tape it up really neat, and this will look nice and crisp without any, you know, significant wrinkles or anything like this in it. And then I'll write "Do Not Bend" on the outside of it, affix the label to it, and this will be fine. This is nice strong cardboard, by the way. You just want to make sure you're using strong cardboard and not flimsy cardboard. The way you test that is you just give a little bit of pressure to it. If it easily bends, do not use it. It's got to have a little bit of resistance to it. That's how you know you got good cardboard. Those bread boxes are incredible. I swear by them. I never have any problem when I use bread boxes. So might depend on the company, and this is just a store brand bread box, but other bread boxes that I've used as well work really, really well for strong cardboard. So go to your bakery section and just check out. They usually have these out every single day in the grocery store. That's just another little tip for you. So you're getting 3 tips in 1 from this video. How about that? Well, I hope you liked this video, and I hope you learned a few things from it. If so, make sure you hit the like button. And drop a comment down below if you have other tips related to this, or if there's just something that you'd like to share. I love to hear it. I love to see your comments. For example, Postcard Guy, thanks for leaving some comments recently, and others should go check out his channel. He does some good haul videos as well. I'm going to put a link to his channel down below, so if you want to go check that out, if you're interested in the kind of stuff that I put on there, you'll probably be interested in some of the stuff that he puts on there as well. With that being said, just a few last things. Make sure that you check out the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. If you're not a member of that, that is my Facebook group. Just submit a join request, and if everything looks okay with your profile, I will let you in. Just one piece of advice about that. Do not submit a join request with a Facebook page that was created the same exact day that you send in the join request with no information about you whatsoever. I have to have some knowledge about you in some way when I'm looking over your submission and your request to let you in, just to make sure I'm letting in people who are high quality individuals who want to contribute to the group in a productive way. We don't want to let in people who are trolls or people who are going to cause problems and be disruptive. So again, if you're not in that category, please make sure you submit the join request. I'd love to have you in there. And importantly, make sure you subscribe. The subscribe numbers continue to go up. It's great to see. I want to see them keep going up more and more and more and at a steadier pace. So if you like this video, again, please make sure you subscribe if you have not done so already. And hopefully the next video that I'm going to do is the comic book toy and cards haul video. So see you back tomorrow. Not sure if I'll be wearing the Captain America shirt, but I'll be wearing something superhero related. See you at the next video, everyone. Thanks.